conjugating a verb. Step 1. Start with the infinitive. Correr, to run. Step 2. Take off the er ending to get a stem. Cor. Step 3. Add the appropriate ending according to the subject. Coro, I run.
If the subject is yo, add an o to the end. If the subject is to, add an es to the end. If the subject is el, ea, or usted, add an e to the end. If the subject is nosotros, add an emos to the end. If the subject is vosotros, add an es to the end. And if the subject is ellas, ellos, or ustedes, add an en to the end.
If the subject is yo, add an o to the end. Yo como. If the subject is to, add an es to the end. Tu comes. If the subject is el, ella, or usted, add an e to the end. El come. If the subject is nosotros, add an amos to the end. Nosotros comemos. If the subject is vosotros, add an es to the end. Vosotros coméis. If the subject is ellos, ellas, or ustedes, add an en to the end. Ellos comen.
If the subject is yo, add an o to the end. If the subject is to, add an es to the end. If the subject is el, ella, or usted, add an e to the end. If the subject is nosotros, add an emos to the end. It is different from the er ending. If the subject is vosotros, add an es to the end. It is also different from the er ending. If the subject is ellos, ellas, or ustedes, add an en to the end.
If the subject is yo, add an o to the end. Yo escribo. If the subject is to, add an es to the end. Tu escribes. If the subject is el, ella, or usted, add an e to the end. El escribe. If the subject is nosotros, add an emos to the end. Nosotros escribimos. If the subject is vosotros, add an es to the end. Vosotros escribís. If the subject is ellos, ellas, or ustedes, add an en to the end. Ellos escriben.
If the subject is yo, the verb is soy. If the subject is to, the verb is eres. If the subject is el, ella, or usted, the verb is es. If the subject is nosotros, the verb is somos. If the subject is vosotros, the verb is sois. If the subject is ellos, ellas, or ustedes, the verb is son.
When to use ser or a start. Stop the elf. The s in stop is for ser. The t in stop is used for describing time. The first o in stop is used for describing occupation. The second o in stop is used for describing origin. The p in stop is used for describing personality. The e in elf is for a star. The L in elf is used for describing location. The F in elf is used for describing feeling.